Welcome to the Feng Shui Magical Feng Shui Masterclass. We are getting started finally. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the delays. Looks like there was some issues with the emails and the Zoom link, but hopefully we're going to get everybody in here and Zoom is happy. Thumbs up. Yes, happy to be here with you all. For those of you that might be joining for your first time ever with a class or a master class or a course or working with me, my name is Nixie Marie. I'm a Feng Shui master. I studied for a long time to understand this whole concept of Feng Shui. And I always say I'm a forever student because there's never an end to Feng Shui. There's always something to learn. There's always something to take away. It's such a rabbit hole. And I have kind of adopted my own personal flavor and flair to Feng Shui. And that is bringing in my love and passion for the craft. And by the craft, I mean like witchcraft, goddess magic, worshiping the nature and inviting a lot of that into my personal space and also helping you doing so as well. So we have a very fun presentation for you all today. So for those of you that are just joining in, welcome. I'm so happy you found us. So happy you're here. Go ahead and put in the comments your name, where you're tuning in from, and what your intention is for being here tonight. Why did you sign up for this masterclass? What brought you here tonight with us, with our little online coven? And if you feel like you want to put your camera on and join us, wonderful. If you feel like you want to kind of stay off and muted, totally fine. If you have questions and comments throughout this masterclass, you can go ahead and put that in the comments section below. And I'm going to make sure you guys stay muted throughout this time together. That way, when we have questions at the end, oops, I'm just muting some of you coming in. We'll have some time for questions. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions. And there's always a good chunk of time for that. So we have a lot to go over today. I hope you guys have a notebook, a pen, your favorite elixir, maybe a tea, maybe wine, maybe some coffee. I don't know what time it is for you in the world. I know there's people from all over. So let's get into it. Are you guys excited? Woo! All right, well, we're going to start with pulling a card because that was what I felt like doing when we first started. And then it was like kind of a, where is everyone? Everybody's emailing me. There was some delay. So here we go. We're going to pull a card for us tonight. Hello, Amelia, Lisa, welcome. So good to see some of you again. Oh my gosh, I missed you guys. For those of you that just came off that abundance challenge high, we just did a really amazing abundance challenge. So let's see what the cards have to share with us this evening as we pull collectively for all of us here. All right. Oh, I love this. I have pulled the moon card. Can you guys see that? It's a little blurry, I think, because there we go. The moon card. Intuition, feminine energy, bringing in some of that yin quality. So what is this telling us tonight? A lot of the times the moon card is so connected to the subconscious, the mind that is not connected to the analyzing side, but more the dreamer state. So I kind of feel like this is a card that's just reminding us to dream, reminding us to follow our dreams, reminding us to listen to our intuition as we follow wherever our heart is calling us to be. So notice what is going on within your dreams for the next, maybe tonight, as we close out this class together. Journal what came up, what's been going on in your dreams. You know, is there a consistency of repetition going on in your dreams? Is there a sort of really powerful symbol or feeling like you're doing some deep healing in your dreams? The moon is such a beautiful emphasis on the feminine. And tomorrow we have a Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is a very auspicious day for the feminine. It is ultimately the embodiment of the divine feminine, the true nature of that. So what a beautiful card to kind of soak us up into that divine feminine energy. And something that is coming through right now is to really activate and turn on that divine feminine power within you. What does that look like? How does that feel like when you're speaking to someone, when you're speaking to yourself, when you're in a sense of stepping into leadership or just wanting to speak from that compassionate, heart-centered space. So happy almost Friday the 13th and beautiful moon card for us tonight. Okay, everyone, I'm going to share my screen here and we are going to get into this presentation. As you all know, if you've been with me before in a masterclass, you know I love my presentations. I love my slides. I love going deep into, as you're going to see my BTS. Oh, where did they all go? Okay, everything has disappeared. All right, hold on one second. Having some technical delays here today. I think they maybe got canceled out while I was going through all the other things. Okay, here we go. No, we don't want to do that. Weird. Okay, I just got this like really weird, whoa, I wish I kind of was still sharing my screen. I just got like a Canva, you got invited to get glowed up and there was just like this confetti that just came on my screen. So that was interesting. We're celebrating already. Okay, here we go. All right. Here we go, everyone. Hello again. Welcome to the Magical Feng Shui Masterclass. This is a masterclass specifically devoted for aspiring house witches or modern day mystics, medicine workers, healers, anybody that's kind of just into that woo-woo life, okay? This is for you. It is all about bringing magic into your space through feng shui, through spell casting, through understanding what your energy is speaking within your environment. Okay. So a lot of times I feel like with the spiritual path and the woo woo, like whole community, it's all about the self, but we often forget about the self also being this extension of our home. Our home is also that extension of the self. So this is why I have really honed in on this craft of creating magic in a space, making the mundane so much more fun, so much more magical. You know, if we're cleaning a space, it's not just about cleaning, it's about a ritual, an invitation to be with the sacred energies around us. So if that's who you are, which I assume it is, or you're aspiring to become more tuned into your environment, then that is why you are here with us today. So this is me. Hi. I am a Feng Shui practitioner. I have been studying Feng Shui for the last 5 years and really stepped into teaching over the last 3 years. Before I taught Feng Shui, I had a cleaning company. So I feel like that kind of brings me a little more humbled in the sense of knowing, like, I know what's going on in your homes because I've probably been in them at some point when I had my company. I feel like there's so many archetypes of these different characters that we play as roles within our spaces. And I was really gifted that opportunity during that time in my life to see what, you know, what we all struggle with in our spaces, because everybody struggles with something. Everybody has a desire and a dream to have a home that has probably less stuff. And that's kind of the challenge of being in a consumerist sort of world. So I like to bring my magic into it. I found I like to say Feng Shui really found me through this amazing synchronistic moments of kind of like podcast interviews that led to this experience of finding my master, really. And when I first heard the words feng shui, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've kind of already been doing within my cleaning business. I just didn't know that it was a thing. So I had very much been engulfed in the path of the witch. I had very much been devoting myself and my time and my energy to the sacred work of the goddess. And honestly, I feel like she has led me throughout the entire process because I really was almost cursing at the time when I was like cleaning toilets. And I'm like, why am I doing this? It feels like there's something bigger, you know, that I'm here to do. And at the end of the day, I was so humbled by that, because it was like, what made me think that that wasn't enough to do? Why did I kept feeling like that wasn't big enough? Was being in service to others, because really ultimately at the end of the day, we're here to be in service for others. And so however that looks like for you, as long as I feel like it's in alignment, you feel like you're in a state of joy, then most likely you are being in service, and you're probably overlooking things more often than not, right? So today or tonight, whatever time you're watching this, we're going to be going over the first introduction to magical feng shui. So how we blend witchcraft and feng shui, the lens in which that is sort of portrayed, and also understanding the energy map of your home, the Bagua system. So the Bagua map is the bread and the butter to feng shui. It is the creme de la creme of feng shui. It's really like the chi. I mean, I could go on with analogies. It's literally the foundation. So we'll go over that today. A lot of people get confused about the Bagua map. So I have a whole mini course on that, because it's literally like, it takes time to understand how to overlay your floor plan, and how to really understand which direction your, let's say, money corner is, or your love and relationships corner. There are different schools of thought. I'll talk about that. I teach classical compass-based feng shui. So if you have found that the Bagua map suggestions online or in a book suggest to like use your far left corner according to your front door, generally that's going to be a different type of style of feng shui that I'm not teaching you. So I usually highly recommend working with the compass, because the compass brings us to the connection of the earth, and that's essentially how feng shui was originated. And then we're going to go into the 5 elements and their magical counterparts. So this is my twist and my magic with feng shui. And then we're going to talk about harnessing the power of symbols in your space. So who's excited? Yay! It's all happening tonight. Your home is going to be so magical. So lesson number 1, introduction to magical feng shui, a journey where the East meets the West. Feng shui intertwines with witchcraft. Ooh, I wish I could constantly have like the music, just like one day we'll have like an orchestra on Zoom calls, right? Where we can just have like a band or like music playing. So fun. All right, so module number 1. Okay, we're just gonna watch this beautiful magic. I don't think this was part of my presentation, but we're already casting some magic spells here. Hopefully I'm in the right. Okay, hold on, guys. I think I might be in the wrong, geez, what is happening tonight? Okay. How weird. Okay, no, that's right. But it just wants to play. All right, let's start here. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's make sure this is working. All right, we're working now. Here we go. Okay, so the history of Feng Shui and witchcraft. So where does this all come in, and how is this intertwined? So first of all, Feng Shui actually breaks down into a term that's called, or the pronunciation of it in ancient China, the way they broke it down is Feng Shui. Feng is wind and Shui is water. So this really dates back to over 3,000 years ago. So when we are looking at Feng Shui, it actually stems from a Taoist philosophy, which essentially brings us to this beautiful relationship with how we live in harmony with our environment. Okay. So when we are living in harmony with our environment, it is like when we have this beautiful opportunity to be at peace with ourselves, because we're in harmony with our space, with the outside world. So the Tao, or Taoism, if you've studied any type of Taoism, or you've read the I Ching, the Book of Changes, a lot of Feng Shui stemmed from that knowledge. Okay, so that's why it has been sort of this magical, mystical, esoteric way of studying the way our environment affects us. And Taoism is like the ultimatum of where it all kind of rooted from. So Feng Shui was initially, when it was derived, focused on the essential process of how the Chinese would bury their dead, because they believed that if they buried the deceased with their head facing a certain direction, that this would help them reach enlightenment, or their souls would pass on. So that's why I really believe in the classical Feng Shui, the compass Feng Shui, because this actually pulls through the original form of why they use the directions, because they were studying when the compass was derived, the Laopan compass. This was when essentially they were studying how this certain energy, like this vibration, was coming from each direction. I think we can also see this in places like ancient Egypt. We see the pyramids being built based on the solstices, based on the different directions, the four cardinal directions. So there's a lot of like things that I think are really beyond our even comprehension when it comes to Feng Shui, because it really taps into some of that esoteric ways of looking at the world when we were so much more connected to nature. So over time, we've obviously seen Feng Shui evolve. It is no longer, I don't even actually know, to be quite honest with you, if that is still practiced to this day of China burying their dead with the direction a certain way. I think that was the original form. And then once the Laopan compass was created, then we started seeing temples beginning to be built with certain directions. And then from there, we started seeing the Bagua map becoming an application to the temples. One of the things that we see in Feng Shui is the Temple of Heaven, which is in China. That was one of the first temples. If you ever have a chance, it's like my dream to go there. If you ever have a chance to go see it, that is the first temple that was essentially derived from the Feng Shui principles, because the emperor wanted to rule in his power. He wanted to reign, and he sent out 4 monks to go say, you know, how can we build something that is going to help support me reign in my power? So they came back with, one of the monks is actually sitting on a body of water. This is the story that kind of has been told over many centuries. And if you guys are just joining, welcome. Make sure you keep yourself on mute. Thank you. And when this monk was sitting by a body of water, they noticed like a turtle appeared. So the turtle is very auspicious when it comes to Feng Shui, because the turtle essentially is one of the origins, part of the origin story. So this monk was sitting by the body of water, asking the universe, spirit, you know, essentially like a shaman, to reveal the answers of how he could build this temple for the emperor to reign in power. And on the Bagua, on the turtle's actual shell, he saw the Bagua map with a system of numbers on it. And so this is where nature sort of revealed the answers. And so that's why the turtle, if you see a lot of turtle emphasis in Feng Shui, is because it's part of that origin story. So from there, they developed this whole system that essentially became the Bagua map, which really just tells a concept of how each of the things in our lives are so embedded into the energy that we are putting out. And based on the directions in which these energies are placed, this is how it affects our home. So there's so many, like I said, it's kind of a rabbit hole when it comes to Feng Shui. And then we get into witchcraft. So how many of you guys are like avid practicers of witchcraft, or maybe goddess magic, or a shaman, wise woman, medicine woman? You can call it something different, of course, but how many of you here are really in this world? Like you started reading tarot and you're like, yes, this is my world. You love crystals. It's so much bigger than that too. It's not just tarot and crystals, right? Like, if you know, it's so much more about your connection to nature. And essentially, that's why I fell in love with Feng Shui, because it was like, okay, wait a minute. Feng Shui is literally bringing nature into the home and focusing on the five elements. So this to me, like the way I see, the lens in which I see Feng Shui is through the lens of the craft. So hi, yes, of course you guys are. That's why you're here, right? I love it. And if is anybody sort of a new beginner to the witchcraft path, or maybe you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of dabbling into it, I'm not really sure. I'd love to hear from you too. Yay, so many witches here, so many sisters. So when it comes to, I love that, dabbling, love that. When it comes to witchcraft, the thing about witchcraft is, of course, it's been so stigmatized and so taken up and like torn apart and put, and we've been burned at the stake, we've been told we're evil, all these things, right? And one of the things that I've had to really go through a process is reprogramming that belief system, that which the word witch means wise, that it is not essentially something that I should fear within myself, that power. It's more about how I have a relationship to the wisdom within myself, and also that wisdom and connection with nature. That can show up and manifest in many different ways. For me, my strongest, I would say, gift is in my knowingness, that awareness, that little tiny hint that comes in and says, like, hey, someone's going to call you or something's going to happen, that premonition, that sort of psychic ability. So the more that we strengthen those and practice them, the more that we really tap into that wisdom. So witchcraft essentially is a very broad term for encompassing a variety of different beliefs, practices, traditions that have really evolved over time as well. They could be including magic rituals, spells, harnessing natural elements, and also supernatural forces, which could also be maybe a symbol of like Reiki. Its history is really, gosh, I mean, history and Feng Shui and witchcraft goes really, really deep into, I mean, we have hoodoo, we have voodoo, we have so many ancient traditions that were really practiced in its ancient roots, where there was shamans, there was wise women, there was medicine men, there were so many things that we practice. And I don't believe that the word witch was really coined. I mean, we look into how it sort of evolved when we had the European witch hunts. I don't really believe that it evolved into the word witch until those European witch hunt times. There's a really good podcast I've been listening to. Oh gosh, it's called like Witch. I have to share it with you guys because it's so good. It's like storytelling. It's just called Witch, I think, and it's put on by NPR. Believe it or not, it looks like this. I'll have to put the link in here. I don't think you'll be able to see it. But I mean, the storytelling from that podcast is so good. The way it's edited, the way it's just shared, and they go into a lot of the history. So when it came to kind of going from the Native American, the indigenous ways to a lot of the European influence, where suddenly we're really getting into that like territory of execution, the territory of women being burned at the stakes, even men being burned at the stakes. There were so many things that happened where women were just, and men were participating in rituals that involved working with herbs, working with the spirits, working with different things that obviously Christianity came in, or Catholicism came in and really took that away. So we then have this revival coming in the 20th century, where there was a really big resurgence and interest in witchcraft, particularly the rise of Wicca. So that started around the 1950s. So modern witchcraft now really started to evolve into more mainstream. It became, starting to showcase in movies and films, and there was more of an eclectic way of viewing the path, right? Not so much put in a corner of like, this is what witch is. It started to really evolve over time and become more of what we're kind of seeing today. But of course it did evolve even more so, and now today it's like really become something that you can really define as your own. It's very non-dogmatic. It's very much like your own relationship with creator, spirit, nature, whatever that might be. So then we have, how does this like intersect? How does witchcraft and Feng Shui really come together. So when we look at Feng Shui and witchcraft, they might seem like, oh, well, that came from the East and this came, well, there's really a beautiful thing that I see how both of these have really come together. And again, it comes back to nature. It comes back to how when we are practicing the craft, we're really tuning into the energies around us. We're listening to the subtle signs of nature, of our spirit guide, or whatever is coming in on a day-to-day basis, really guiding us forward. And with Feng Shui, it's all about measuring the energy around us. So where we see these two really coming in is this like energetic harmony of principles of these two powerful elements that complement each other. So it's really like, if you want to sum it all up, it's really about the energetic connection between the law of the universe and nature. So that these two forces, like I believe that when we force and when we cast our spells, when we create that force of intention and desire, we have a lot of that power that comes from this craft. It teaches us to listen to our intuition. It teaches us to pull a tarot deck to be revealed from the mirror of our soul, like what's going on there. It teaches us to listen to the signs and have awareness. And then Feng Shui is this ability to bring all of that power, harness that power, and put it into our physical environment. So it really, to me, is like this beautiful complement. And when they're combined, it's very potent. So I hope you guys are still with me and that's making a lot of sense. So when we talk about Feng Shui and witchcraft, we can't not talk about the spiritual component of your space. I have seen so many times the actual spirit of a home. You might have as well. You might already feel connected to the spirit of your home. You might already have a relationship with the spirit of your home. But I have a meditation that we do inside of my course, Spellbound Spaces, which I'll talk to you about in a little bit here, where we activate that connection. We connect to the spirit. You get to name it. You actually get to form a relationship with the spirit of your space. Going back a little bit here again, Feng Shui also derived from this concept called geomancy. Geomancy is measuring the ley lines of the earth. It's measuring the spirit lines before we go to build anything. Now that's my next stage of my training, but I have gone to do land clearings, and I will tell you, working with land spirits is some of the most potent healing I've ever received. Like, I had no idea what I was signing up for, because it had honestly nothing really to do about what I thought it had to do about. It was like the land called me to help me heal through this part of chapter that I was going through. And I was very surprised by it. So it was very humbling. It's very humbling to work with the earth. It's very humbling to work with the goddess, this beautiful earth that we're on, because she will humble you. She will bring you down to the ground and be like, you better get down on your hands and knees, because she's got a lesson for all of us, right? So when we're talking about the spiritual aspects of your home, you have to start looking at your space as more than just a roof, a walls, a floor, a bathroom, a shower, a kitchen. There's actually an embodiment of spirit in your space. So spiritually, your home, when you think about it, it serves as a place for you to be safe. It is used for a place to be grounded. It is used for a place for you to have memories of growth, protection, comfort, transformation. All of these things happen within the walls of your home. Challenges, life happens, so many things happen. So the walls essentially become this energetic ball of everything that goes on within those walls, within your space. So each room, corner, object within your space holds an energetic resonance, vibration, frequency that mirrors everything that goes on in here. Your desires, your thoughts, your memories, your words, your ideas, your feelings, your emotions, all of that makes up the energetic debris that we have around us. Also could be measured in chakras, right? So your home literally has a life to it. It has an essence to it. It has a chutzpah. It has all this beautiful energy that you, and also not so good energy that you emit within your space. So it's really a space for you to be held, right? And when we think about it on the macro perspective, the home that we live on this earth is actually the grounding template, the foundation for where we all live. So that's going beyond all that. So tools of the trade. So these are some of the breakdowns of some of the fun things that you can bring into your space that really start to embody more of a sacred connection to you and your home in a way that is not just like, oh, I have a broom, or oh, I have a kettle, or oh, I have these things become alive because you make that become alive by your intention, by your ritual, by the way that you view everything around you. So from crystals and mirrors in feng shui to candles and pentacles and pentagrams and witchcraft, there's a shared use of all these elements in your home. So here we have a picture of the broom. So a sweep of the broom. I mean, we could talk for, I could do a whole masterclass on, or just a class on the broom, because we have seen the broom represent so many things in many different traditions, many different rituals. I always share this beautiful story that I love about the story of monks being initiated into their path as a monk. They are seen always sweeping the temples because there's this sacred connection between the ground and the connection to this beautiful wand that we're sweeping away this old energy. So it's a part of this humbling act of being in service to the temples, to the god, the goddess, the deities that they are, in that essence, Buddha, you know, in being able to really create this relationship with the physical world and the metaphysical world, the esoteric world. So the broom also, when it comes to the burning times, it was, I mean, there's so many stories, right, about this broom and how it was perceived, but I've heard stories that the broom was used to hide magic or hide herbs, hide things, because that would be seen as witchcraft and they would be burned at the stake. I've heard that the broom was, you know, the broom in the media in Hollywood represents the witch flying on her broomstick, right? And so where did all that come from? It came from this, I believe, sacred connection from the energy that we release from the previous days to really just looking at it like a magical tool. So I highly recommend having a broom that is solely used for your circle practices, for your ceremonies, for sweeping away the old energy. Like have a broom for being able to like really, you know, do the deep cleaning or a vacuum. But a lot of homes actually don't have sacred brooms anymore. We have like vacuums and electrical things, right? And the beautiful thing about just taking a moment every morning or at the end of the day, usually I recommend sweeping in the morning because it helps to remove all the old energy from yesterday and get you in relationship with the present moment today. Very, very Taoist thinking is bringing you into that present moment. Thinking as you sweep, like I release all the energy from yesterday and welcome new energy and opportunities into today. Because if you think about it, how much energy are you bringing in to your home every single day? And how much energy are you letting go of and releasing from your space every single day? Right? So it's really a practice of being in that energetic debris, that negative energy, and then releasing it and moving it and being really tuned into that. So there is a lot of amazing symbolisms when it comes to the actual broom. So, you know, there I could go on, like I said, for forever about the broom, but we're going to move on because we have a limited time together. But like I said, I would absolutely recommend having a magical broom for your home, something that is going to feel like I actually ordered one on Etsy. I have a couple different ones. I love to kind of collect brooms. So I even have a little broom to like sweep away some of my like vegetables sometimes, and just making things a ritual, making it fun, making it about the act of this sacred connection between the physical and the non-physical realms. Yes, Rebecca, like cinnamon brooms. I love cinnamon brooms, and it's beginning that time of the year where cinnamon and pumpkin and all those scents, all the things. That's why I love doing this class at the end, like close to Samhain, and where the veils start to become thinner, because it really starts to set the tone of the next season as we get further into the shadow month. So how are you guys feeling so far? I know lots of history and nerdy information here, but I love going into the history and really diving into like, where does this all come from? You know, there's a lot of really beautiful stories here. It's just like, I love it. Okay, so here is the Bagel map. So we're going into lesson 2, the energy map of your home, exploring the Bagel map and the 4 directions. So how many of you are familiar with the Bagel map? Maybe put like 1 not so familiar, 10 being I'm a master, I should be teaching this class. All right, Sandy, we have a 1, maybe unfamiliar with the Bagel map at all. Some 5s, 6s, 3s, 2s, amazing. Okay, so we've got a good blend of like beginner to intermediate level Bagel map. Okay, perfect. So when it comes to the Bagel map, as you can see, this is my example. There's going to be a couple Bagel maps that you might see that are circular. Now that is essentially the Laopan style, and you can use a circle to measure your space. But today, what are our homes shaped out of? They're shaped like squares or rectangles, sometimes L-shaped. So it's actually been evolved over time to not be circular, but to become more of a square rectangle based on the way homes are built today. So that's why you see the difference. If you go Google like the Bagel map and you see a bunch of different ones, the only reason why they're different is because of the way it has evolved over time. But I'm gonna teach you this way because I find it to be easier. So when it comes to the Bagel map, we have these 8 important areas of our lives, all connected around the center of the home. So the reason why we have like the southeast, all these directions focused on specific one thing, we have it focused on a certain area of our life. We have a element that it rules. And we also have some suggestions here on ways that you can enhance this space. Now, this is generic. So this is not like getting into the specifics of your home, but it is all like if you were to do all of this and enhance every area or start to have a relationship with your space in this way, you would start to feel, I promise you, like a shifted something, because it is, I mean, this is why I devoted my life, honestly, at this point to Feng Shui, because I've seen so many miraculous things happen by just applying the partnering element or adding an enhancement. Now, I don't want to confuse you, but every year there are energies that change. So there's the flying stars part, which is the classical Feng Shui. So the energies in the southeast change every year. So your home essentially has its own energetic center within each of these guas, which is what we call them. These squares are also guas. I know I'm getting into a little more advanced, but bear with me. So each gua that we have here is going to have a certain energy each per year. Now, I do an annual Feng Shui class where I give you the entire energy forecast for the entire year. You set up your remedies and your cures. That'll be coming up in February when the Lunar New Year changes. But right now, we're just looking at the beginning stages of the Bagua map. This is just you getting familiar with the areas in which you would essentially connect to the southeast in your home. So how you find this is by getting out a compass from your phone. You could also buy a compass if you want, but you really don't need to. Get your compass out and you stand at your front door, okay? Back facing the front door, you're inside your home. Get your compass out and you start to move around and locate where the southeast is, where the south is. I would always say start by trying to find the true north, because that'll help you when you're looking around your space to locate everything else. Now, some may not be familiar. Okay. Some may not be familiar with a compass, which I have plenty of times when I was doing, I'm a diver. So when I was doing my dive certification, I had to read a compass, like what to get certified. And I'll tell you, this was years ago, but I was so embarrassed in that moment because I was sitting at the bottom of the ocean and I was going, I don't know how to read this compass. Like it was also really, really, really murky. So I couldn't see it that well. So I had a moment of like total panic and I'm like 60 feet down at the bottom of the ocean with like, I can't see anything around me, but my instructor and the task was for me to point the compass at a certain direction that he wrote on this little slate. And then I was to find him that direction. Talk about scary. It was scary. I'm not going to lie. And I eventually figured it out. But if you're new to compasses, don't worry. It's just something that we're not as tuned in with. So when you get your compass out, start by finding your true north. And if you have multiple front doors like CJ does, make sure to use the front door that you use the most. So I will go into, if you've been with me before, I'll talk about why it's so important to use your front door. But for now, to locate your areas, use the door that you use the most. And then from there, you're going to either draw your floor plan or get your floor plan. Get something that is going to be a rough sketch if you can, just to kind of get the walls going. And you're actually going to draw the Bagua map over your floor plan to determine and help you understand exactly where the northwest, the north, all of these guas are located in your home. I have another example here. So this is a very basic floor plan. We have the front door here. We have the kitchen. We have a living room, a little office space, a hallway, a bathroom, and we have a bedroom. So if you have a pretty basic floor plan, it might essentially be pretty easy to do this. If you have a very complicated floor plan, this is where I get into more details of how to do this in my Spellbound Spaces training, which I'll talk to you guys about shortly here. But this is a very basic beginning, getting to know how to work with the Bagua map and put it over your floor plan. So Kara has a question, also where your house should sit. Front door faces. Yes, correct. That is true, Kara, yes. Like if the front door is facing the east and the southeast is on the right corner, yeah. It does not matter where your home is located. It that's kind of a hard question because it's a very, I could answer it in multiple ways. But yes, loaded question. It doesn't matter, but where your home is located will influence those that live in it. So if, for example, which doesn't happen, is nothing gets built anymore based on the energetic spirit lines, ley lines, what's going on the actual earth. So if, for example, you are sitting in a more unfavorable position to your personal element, which is what we all have, that's also for my course and my training. I teach you how to find your feng shui element. I also have a free masterclass on that. But essentially, if you have a front door facing a different direction than which your personal element is suggested, you may have an unsupportive home. Now, the beautiful thing about feng shui is that there's always a remedy and there's a cure. There's never like a, oh my gosh, like I'm totally not able to be in my power. There is always a remedy and a cure. The only exception to that rule is if you're living in an unsafe or toxic environment. then we're going to make sure you get out of there, right? Like that's not going to be supportive at all, no matter what you do, if you're in an unsafe and toxic environment. So full disclosure there. But if you are in a home that might be unfavorable because of your element and the way it's positioned, or when homes used to be built, like the Temple of Heaven, the sun would essentially rise where the facing of the home is, so in the where the front door was, and then it would set, like the backyard would be where the sun would set. So that is the most favorable position of your home to be set up, but that's really not the case for everyone, right? Like you can't move your home around. If you're going into construction, that's where consulting I'd absolutely recommend, because we can actually set your space up to be more supportive. Now, why is that? Why would we put the sun, why would they position so that the sun was coming in through the front door, and sitting side would be like where the moon rise, or, it would be like, whoop, the sun comes up, the sun goes down, because the sun has a lot of yang qualities. I'm going to blow your mind for a minute here, if I haven't already. So in Australia, this is one of the highest yang positions on the earth, because it's one of the locations in which the sun sees, it's like the first sun of the day is in Australia. And I really believe there's something going on in Australia. All you Australians are like so on another level. If you meet Australians, they're just amazing people. They have a wild sense of the way they see the world. And they're also really health conscious, majority of them, while they also love to party too, but also very much just like beams of light. So when you think about that, the way that they're positioned on the planet, there is this energetic yang that happens. They get the first sun of the entire planet. So that's why there's, I believe, that, I'm sure there's so many things that could prove and back this up, because of the sun being that heightened yang energy, providing so much nourishment, providing so much energy, that it also could be almost too much for some people. For some people who are maybe more yin qualities, like they need more softness, more relaxation, more slowing down, Australia maybe wouldn't be the best place for them environmentally. And someone mentioned, I think Rebecca, you mentioned astrocartography, and that's definitely a whole nother conversation. But yes, that is definitely, yes, you Kiwis too, New Zealanders, you Kiwis over there, you're also kind of on that yang spectrum. So that's why essentially, it's kind of cuckoo, because when we look at some of these sacred sites, this is where I'm going to get super nerdy, we see so much activity in the way that they were positioned, strategically aligned with the solstices, the stars, the way the sun would rise and the sun would set. And what's crazy is you look across the world, every single monumental like pyramid, I just went to a pyramid here in Mexico, they all have, I'm like covered in chills, they all have the same alignment, but how did they all communicate? Like, how did China communicate with Mexico? How did like that? There was a period in which nobody could communicate in that way until, we started voyaging out and building ships and being able to communicate in that way. But really, a lot of these sacred sites were built without that like worldwide communication available. So that tells me like something they knew. There was, first of all, we all can be in agreement that we're so much more disconnected with nature than we've ever been. So I think it kind of is very obvious. We had a lot more shamans, we had monks, we had wise wisdom keepers that were respected, and they were the ones who pulled out this information. So we're going on a rant here, but I think that that's where, if going back to the positioning of your space, we really ultimately want to be capturing as much yang sunshine energy when we're building homes, when we're in a home, and so on and so forth. So getting us back on track to the Bago map, there's our little tangent for today. When you're putting this all positioning your squares, your outlining, your outline over your floor plan, you really want to start to study, where is your front door facing? Is it in the north? Is it in the south? Is it in the east? Where is your front door facing? And start to get into relationship with where on the Bagua map that is. So let's say, for example, it's the south. It's where your fame and recognition, it's how people see you in the world. So how does your front door represent the south wall? Another example could be your love and relationships, your southwest area here. If your front door is facing the southwest, how is that mirroring? Like if there's a lot of clutter in your front door, if there's a lot of like piled up energy near your front door, if there's sort of a sadness, a stagnant energy, and your relationships is mirroring that, then that's where we start to get into the energetic comparison and vibration of, okay, well, that's happening in me, in my personal life, and it's also showing up here. So I always say there's a message in your mess. There's a message in your home. Your home is always speaking to you. Right? All right, so we're gonna move on because we have so much more still. Are you guys still with me? So last thing about the Bagua map, I will say, is to start getting into relationship with each gua, each area in your home. You can put post-it notes, little post-it notes around your space that help you get in relationship with each area. Okay? All right. Oops. 4 directions. So getting in touch with the 4 directions, honoring the directions within your walls. So this is really the step of like prior to really beginning any of the magical work with your home, there's a practice that I want you to do. Now you are going to get this whole entire slide. You're going to get the replay of this masterclass, and you're also going to get what I have is called the 4 directions house ritual. This is a beautiful way to blend witchcraft and feng shui into your space to start to connect and honor the 4 directions in your home. It can be done anytime. You don't need to do it like on a full moon or a new moon or anything like that. Although if you feel called to do this ritual during that time, absolutely go for it. Use your intuition. But ultimately, this is a practice that begins to start and forage your relationship with the directions of your space. It's super fun. It's super cool, very impactful. You will get all of that in a follow-up email after we are done here. So you can go ahead and begin to do that. So exploring more into the more mystical side of things with using the Bagua map. So when it comes to a witchier mystical view, creating an altar. So here is where you guys got to follow me, right? Because it can kind of get a little confusing, but I'm going to be as clear as I can. So when you are, let's say, looking at the northeast section of your home, which is associated with your spirituality, it's a good place for meditation. It's a good place, we call it the Heaven's Gate. So creating an altar associated with your spiritual growth and placing it in the northeast is how we start to begin by intentionally designing our home so that it's aligned with the directions. Now, not everybody's going to have a space, obviously, that is going to be supportive for all of this. So these are just suggestions. And you, my invitation to you is to feel into which one would be a really good place to start. Like if you were to walk away from this masterclass and be like, I'm going to build an altar in my southeast because that's my money area and I want to have a money altar. That's where you should start. So elemental candles. This is a fun exercise too, to align the 5 elements in feng shui. We'll talk about that in a moment here. We work with wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And those have corresponding Bagua areas. We go back to the Bagua map here. Each gua has a element. So southeast, wood element, south, fire element, southwest, earth element, east, wood element, and so on. So what you can do is place colored candles or intentional, like some, you can actually find elemental candles to put in your space. And some of those could be how you enhance each area or each direction. If you just wanted to do like 4 to create the 4 directions, you could do fire in the south, metal in the west, so using the color of like gold or copper, north, wood, water in the north, a blue candle or the actual elemental sigil of water, and in east you could use the wood element. So that's a great way to activate and create candle magic. And when we go to what is next? Our herbal blessings. Oh, okay. So this is the part that I love about, honestly, just nature, is her ability to provide so many beautiful herbs and just flowers and all these beautiful things. So herbal blessings, like bringing in herbs into your space. So here's an example: relationships, your love sector, your southwest flaw, sprinkling rose petals, planting lavender, something that's going to be intentionally to use the properties of these herbs to enhance your romance and your harmony and your love section in your space. And then we also have crystals, of course. I've got my rose quartz crystal here. I love to always have my rose quartz or some crystal while I'm doing a class or working. Is placing crystals intentionally in each bagua, which helps to enhance the area. So let's say citrine, for example, or green aventurine. So if you put that in the wealth and prosperity area, that would help to enhance your abundance and financial stability. I like pyrite personally for my wealth and prosperity area. Pyrite just feels like gold, you know? So really to think about what inspires you. What is going to be something that really invites you into your connection with this space? This is all about you creating your magic. These are a lot of ideas that I'm giving you, right? And then, of course, protected talismans. We have hanging amulets or protection bottles or rosemary at your front door, or enhancing your people travel area, which is really going to help to bring the right people to help you get to what you want. We use this a lot when we're selling homes in Feng Shui to honor the real estate broker, the construction workers, whoever it is, to like sell a home. We really enhance that. And also a lot of celebrities did use and do use the certain practices to enhance the helpful people area, to find the right networking, to find the right relationships, to really help to connect them to the career goals that they have. So when it comes to broom placement, you can also place your broom near the front door to symbolize how those energies are swept away every day from your front entranceway. Usually we suggest with brooms to store your broom upside down so that the positive energy is not like just being absorbed at the bottom. So if you hang your broom upside down, that's a better way to have the bristles stored up. And we have moon water for growth. So placing a bowl of moon water, if you're not familiar with moon water, this is just basically putting a beautiful glass jar or something out during a full moon, charging the water, and then putting it intentionally in a bag, whatever area on the bagua map that you'd like to get enhanced or feel that energy of the feminine. We had our moon card earlier today, this evening, pulled with us. So really getting into the energy of the moon water would be, okay, you want to bring in some more feminine energy, some playful energy, bring your intuition into a certain area of the bagua. So I hope this is all making sense in terms of how you would use the bagua map to do some of these more magical rituals into your space. Are y'all still with me here? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, okay. And then, of course, we have dream pillows. I don't know if any of you have used dream pillows before, But dream pillows are such a fun way to enhance your dreams. Again, we kind of have the tarot moon card. Okay, good. You guys are still with me. So you can actually make your own dream pillow. This could be like a little muslin, bag that maybe you kind of sew together, or you find a little like satchel, and you can put herbs inside of it, like mugwort, lavender, rosemary, nettle, anything that really feels like, let's say you go on a hike out in nature and you're like, wow, I found all this amazing herbs and I forage, and you had a really good foraging nature hike. Put those in a little satchel and put them underneath your pillow. Now, you could do this especially with kids if they have nightmares. Rosemary would be an amazing herb to bring into a dream pillow to put underneath their pillows for them. See if that helps them. I usually always say, like with Feng Shui, give it 9 weeks, see what happens, see what shifts, because that's usually the allotted time that we start to see energetic change. And then we also have mandalas and sigils. So if you wanted to really start getting intentional, now sigils, you don't have to have the physical sigil on your home. You can actually draw them yourself with wands if you're unfamiliar with sigil drawing. Again, this is something that I go over more in Spellbound Spaces, but this is a really fun practice to just start by creating your own sigils. You don't have to have specific ones. Like you can use the pentacle, you could use your own that you just feel like drawing, like maybe it's an infinity sign that sort of blends into a spiral. And these are really great to use for locking your mirrors. So with mirrors, we look at mirrors like portals. They're kind of these doors. Like, I'm sure if you're intuitive, you probably feel sometimes like mirrors just are these gateways. So it's really a beautiful practice to get into cleaning your mirror and then drawing a sigil that closes off the energy or locks the energy of your mirror on every corner of your mirror. So you clean it, and then you could either use like a physical key. You could also use your wand. You could use just your hands to kind of draw a pentacle or a sigil of your own to lock the mirrors up. You can also have sigils at your front entranceway to help enhance the opportunities that come into your life, because that is usually where your front door, that energy comes in. It's that where the mouth of the chi is. So, I mean, I could go on, but there's so many beautiful ways to work with mandalas and sigils in your space and not necessarily have them physically there. Like if you don't want to have more knickknacks and art and stuff around your space, you can energetically cast that spell within your words, within your intentions, within your wands to create that magic and that connection and that energy. And I want to give you a real world example here, because I want you to think of somebody's home that you walk into that you feel like something energetically is incredibly aligned here. Like you've walked in, you're just like, oh, the feeling I have. Maybe it's your home. It's a friend of yours, whoever it is. Like take yourself there right now and think of someone you know, could be yours as well, that you walk into the space and you're like, something just feels so good in this space. I don't know what it is, but it's a feeling that you have. It's like, it might not be always the decor. It could have, so, it could have some clutter in it. It could have a very well lived in space, but something about it just feels really good. Now, usually that's probably because the home is energetically cleansed, it's energetically protected, and you're feeling that protection coming in, also known as probably a witch's home. So that is the goal, is when you go into the space, you feel this sense of, oh, something just feels so good. So that's the goal that I want to invite you to achieving with some of these practices. So then we go into an elemental balancing ritual. So this can be a ritual where you are balancing the 5 elements in your home, making sure that they're always in flow and in harmony with each other. So you could do this in a monthly basis, on a bi-monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, but really it's just about tuning into taking a moment to look around your space and notice, is there a lot of water element? Is there a lot of wood element? Is there an excess amount of any of the elements? And do they need to be balanced by adding other elements into the space? So it's just something that you have to notice. You have to take time to really go through, because our homes are energy, like our homes have energy. And what I think people forget is that we still need to move the energy in our space, not just like keep everything there forever. Like I have worked with clients, and I'm sure you have stuff in your spaces that probably have not moved for years. Think about that. What if you didn't move for years? We would essentially die. Like we would not be alive. So in your home, whatever is not moving, it is stagnant. Maybe it's a piece of furniture that has been there for years and it hasn't moved an inch. Think about how important it is to move the things in your home periodically, at least annually for sure. It doesn't mean you need to move that bookshelf all the way across the room. It just means maybe you need to move it forward a little bit, remove all the books, clean and dust everything, get the cobwebs that have built up in the back to bring it back the life that it deserves. Okay? So here's a little food for thought. Within the walls of a home lies an alchemy of energy, where every corner whispers ancient tales and every room holds the power to transform the ordinary into the magical. So within your walls of your home, there is an energy. And when you begin to tune into that energy and you think about what is there, what's currently energetically present with you. I'm not talking about ghosts and spirits. I'm talking about the energy. It's your energy that you are sharing with your space. So every room has the power to be transformed by your energy, your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your spells. Your words are the spells that you create, abracadabra. So here we have the next lesson. 5 elements and their magical counterparts. How are you all doing? Do you have questions? Pop them in the comments. Are you having aha moments? Are you having breakthroughs? Tell me what is going on in that mind. Okay, so we're going to get a little deeper here. So the 5 element theory is essentially another foundational component of Feng Shui. So in Feng Shui, I mentioned we use the 5 elements such as wood, fire, earth, and metal, and water. This is the representation of this fundamental principles of the universe and how essentially all of the things came into creation. So in Taoism, there's the concept, and in a lot of philosophies, they say like, okay, before there was creation, there was chaos. Before the universe was created, there was chaos, like this chaos of energy that was going around. So when the Chinese developed this system, and this is also seen in Chinese medicine, this is seen in Qigong and body movements, this way of looking at how creation came to be was essentially how all of these elements danced with each other to become part of a creation of the universe, of the things we see around us. Like one essentially cannot live without the other, but one can also destroy one of the other. So when we get into that, it's like looking at how the properties of each of these elements are either enhanced or they're in our spaces, how they affect us, how they might be moving through each facet of our homes. So as examples, we have wood that signifies growth, expansion, serving as a perfect catalyst to bring fire in. We cannot really create fire. We couldn't have created fire without gas, of course. But before we had gas, we had fire. We had wood that created the fire. So from fire's transformation, ashes emerge, therefore creating the earth. We look at how a lot of islands were created through volcanic eruptions. Earth was formed, embodying that stability and that nourishment for something to be the root, the foundation of the soil. And then earth gives rise to metal, symbolizing clarity, precision, which in turn collects and channels flowing aspects of water. So then these elements have this beautiful, continuous, productive cycle that we see, and they influence the balance and harmony of all of nature. So when we look to nature, we see harmony, but we also see destruction. Right now, all over the world, there's heat waves, there's hurricanes, there's natural disasters, but we look at them in terms of it's a disaster. But nature looks at it as it just is. It is just part of nature. Are we affecting some of that? Yes, we absolutely are, but we are also part of nature. So there is this in our homes, when we're looking at the 5-element theory, there are elements that are supportive in your space in the productive cycle. And there's also elements that are going to be depleting in a destructive cycle. So when we're looking at these two elements between feng shui and a little bit of that magic, both of these play an important role in our craft today, of course, because it is bringing nature in. Now, feng shui, I wanted to talk on this because feng shui doesn't incorporate air like the 4 elements, a lot of what witchcraft really embodies. But the application of that is used in metal because it's the physical quality. We're not in feng shui, we don't measure energy by non-existential actual things in the physical atmosphere. We measure things by what's physically here. Okay, so that's the difference. When it comes to working with each of these elements, the first thing I love to talk about is if you are, for example, focused on growth in your finances, you would want to put some wood elements into your space, like in your southeast corner, and set intentions for this plant or this sturdy piece of furniture to be the foundation of the representation of the growth in your finances that you wish to see. So we're going to look at how each element provides not only just a representation of its like purpose, but also its magical counterpart. Yeah. All right. So we have wood element. The wood element represents growth, vitality, and expansion. It governs the southeast and the east on the Bagua map. Its magical counterpart is that it's linked to healing, prosperity, and new beginnings. So you can use tools like wands made of specific woods or green candles to really invite the magical aspects of the wood element. Some decor ideas for the wood element would be plants, wood furniture, bamboo, green or brown colors, crystals such as moldavite, jade, or emerald, wood wands, green candles, or a money or bamboo tree plant. You guys writing this down? Well, you're going to get this slide as well, but just in case. And then we have the fire element. Feng Shui looks at the fire element as a masculine quality. It invites action, getting things done, transmutation, burning everything down, bringing yourself rising up from the ashes. And it is also located on the south of the Bagua map. Its magical counterpart is when you think of the fire element, it's sort of this burning sense of desire, of passion, of courage. And it also is a destroyer. It removes that negative energy. So having candles in your space are a great representation of fire elements. Mood lighting, like Himalayan salt lamps. I kind of feel like a Himalayan salt lamp is a non-negotiable in a space. You should absolutely have a Himalayan salt lamp, at least one. I have a couple, but if you have at least one in your home, it's not only going to bring in that fire element, it's also going to help by removing the positive ions in the space, which help to create that energy that we feel in nature. So it helps to remove negative energy, essentially. And then we have crystals like carnelian, ruby, and fire agate. Dragon's blood sage, great for fire elements. violet flame protection spells, symbols or artwork of the sun, the desert, Mojave, deserty landscapes, actual pictures of the sun, like beautiful sunset, red artwork, and the colors red and purple. And then we have the earth element. So the earth element in Feng Shui symbolizes what? Nourishment, stability, more yin qualities, grounding. It governs the southwest and the northeast on the Bagua map. And its magical counterpart is that it's used for grounding rituals like stability spells, bringing things into form, into the physical, into the rooting aspects of what we are desiring and bringing in. It could also be crystals, clay figures. Salt can be a perfectly magical element to the earth qualities. So some decor ideas would be clay or ceramic pottery, granite, stone, cement, statues of deities in stone, not resin. Resin would not count as an actual earth element because it's plastic. Any crystals, honestly, can be considered earth elements. So if you have a lot of crystals in your space, notice that that could be most likely an earth element influence. Herbs in your home, pentacles, and the colors like earth tones, beige, or brown. And then we have the metal elements. So in Feng Shui, metal represents clarity, efficiency, being super discerning, making decisions, being precise. It governs the west and the northwest on the Bagua map. And metal as a more spiritual component invokes a lot of protection, clarity, being able to channel higher energies. So when you think of like the metal qualities like gold and copper and silver, it's very rich. You're like the richest, it's the richest element. So silver chalices, bells, singing bowls, gold decor, a lot of those are going to help you bring in a lot more clarity, because we also think as like there's a reflection that sometimes happens when you're looking at gold, right? There's a little bit of a glimmer, a shimmer. So that can also help you to awaken some more psychic abilities, mediumship qualities, that really helps to enhance that part of you, right? So decor ideas would be gold, copper, bronze, or silver, stainless steel fixtures, metal frames, or like kinetic artwork. I love kinetic artwork. It's like that moving artwork that you see that sort of spirals, or silver chalices, singing bowls and gongs, themes like the swords that you can work with for magical rituals and ceremonies, crystals such as pyrite and tiger's eye, and the colors are going to be gray, silver, and gold. And lastly, we have the water element. So water element is connected in Feng Shui to our intuition, our emotion, and communication and finances. Really, finances and communication are the two that we really refer to it in Feng Shui. And the water element governs the north on the Bagua map. Its magical counterpart is utilized for more the mysticism around psychic development, as well emotional healing and dream work space. So having bowls of water, moon charged liquids, we talked about moon water, and seashells could be also beautiful tools and rituals to help enhance this more magical counterpart of the water element. And decor ideas are water fountains in the home or office or wherever in the space, ocean decor such as seashells, artwork like ocean artwork. Crystals would be blue topaz, turquoise, and lapis. And the colors would be blues and black. And you could also have a dream journal. Now, when I'm talking about the elements and their relationship to the Bago map, the decor ideas are specifically related to enhancing that area on the Bago map, to be clear. Okay, so if you're thinking you want to add some water elements in the north area, you could add some of these ideas to help enhance that area on the Bagua. Something just flew into my eye. Okay, we'll be able to see. All right, how are you all doing? Any questions that popped up during that part of the lesson? We have one more lesson to go over tonight. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. We're gonna get to your questions at the end. I'll have you guys come on to say hello and ask any questions you might have, or I'll answer them live once I get this thing out of my eye. Okay, so the final lesson we have here is harnessing the power of symbols. How many of you here are super into symbols and messages that you feel like are all around you? Ancient Egypt was probably the first mystical, philosophical aspect of really understanding the power of symbols. You look at the pyramids, they're covered in symbols. And really, symbols were the first way that we communicated with each other. So they're very powerful when we also use them in our home. So if you're not familiar with a sigil, you're like, I've never heard of a sigil, I've never worked with one. Let's start there. What is a sigil? A sigil or an emblem represents a specific intention, desire, concept, or magical purpose. It is usually hand created by yourself through an intuitive process or a guided visual meditation that you could do to kind of create this sigil. So I had a spiral here. I really believe this is like how a lot of the symbols, like we have the triple moon goddess symbol, we have the Ankh, we have the psychic eye protection. I think a lot of these sigils became what they were because essentially they were first channeled, right? They were first created by somebody who was creating those types of sigils, and then they put meaning behind them. So a sigil has to be activated and charged by your intention, by your meaning. If you're creating your own sigil, it is your own energetic resonance to the sigil that you've created. So meditating with the sigil, sleeping with the sigil. I actually have a ritual that I do I would say every full moon, but every now and then for the full moon, I'll feel really called to draw in my notebook journal or my book of shadows a actual sigil. When I really studied the year and the day cycle of my initiation into the craft, I had a lot of sigils in that book of shadows, but I don't do it as much, but sometimes it just like comes over me where I'm like, I need to draw a sigil of protection. And Reiki also has, if some of you are familiar with Reiki, Reiki has several sigils, and how you actually become a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki master or a Reiki, excuse me. How about sneeze? Excuse me. Is through a sigil. Nancy, a book of shadows is essentially a book that you write in about all of your mystical studies and your magic and working with the moon cycles and writing down your intentions. It's it's almost like a notebook, but it's really devoted to just like esoteric mysticism and your path along the craft. So if you want to start a book of shadows, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing experience to just really like reflect back on. I have two that I really like when I was in the craft full on. I look back at that. I have like little recipes of oils that I would blend together. You know, there's some book of shadows you can buy that are already like pre-done, but I would recommend getting a really lovely notebook and starting your own because it's really a personal journey. It's really quite lovely, and it's a little more impactful than just a notebook because it's not just a place you journal. It's a space for you to have your sacred messages, your spells, your rituals, your learnings, like maybe feng shui or whatever comes up that you want to put in there. And of course, sigils. And then, of course, we have the difference. The opposite of a sigil would be a symbol. So a symbol is a little bit more connected to the feng shui, whereas a sigil is more connected to more of the witchcraft and the craft of the wise. So when it comes to a symbol, we look at symbols like almost like a logo. Like the difference is it's very physical in the sense of it could be like we have the tree of life sort of here. This is a symbol. It means something. It's not a sigil because it has more of an illustrative meaning to it. It has its history, it has an intention. So with the tree of life, it's got a whole storyline behind it. It's not essentially magically infused. So like a Hamsa hand, it could be considered a symbol because that's something that is much more of an intention behind it. There's not really, I guess Hamsa has a little bit of magical qualities to it, but that would be essentially more seen as a symbol of something versus a sigil that has a magical intention behind it. Does that make sense? So, one thing to be very mindful of, and this is something that I see as a mistake a lot in the spiritual communities, is using symbols that just because they're used in yoga, just because they're used in Buddhism or witchcraft or whatever, they have a lot of meaning to them. And unless you really know the meaning, you understand its intent, do not bring it into your home because a lot of times you're bringing an energy that is not yours. You're bringing an energy that doesn't have an intention of being your own. You're just like, oh yeah, I picked it up because, you know, my yoga teacher said to, or I don't know, there was this group that were really drawn to the flower of life, but I wasn't really as drawn to it. So really be intentional with what you are bringing into your space. Bring it in with intention. Know what each symbol means. Don't just bring in a symbol just because it looks good. Know what's behind it and make sure it's aligned with your intention. That's very important. Okay, so here's some examples of sigils and symbols. So here is actually, there's a woman on Etsy who designs these sigils and you can like buy them. I'm a big fan of using your own sigils because it comes from you. So a sigil is going to be something kind of maybe that looks like this. You just intuitively drew something that has power behind it. This sigil has the mantra, I love and accept myself as I am. Such a good one. This would be definitely a symbol. This is the Sri Yantra with a mandala around it. So this is more of a symbol than it is a sigil. So I wanted to give you guys some physical difference. And then we have a turtle or a tortoise. This is a symbol of wealth, of riches. Like this symbolizes certain things in feng shui specifically. And so when we look at symbols, that also can be the symbol of what it means or represents in the belief system that it comes from. So the frog also is sort of like a lucky frog in feng shui. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not a big um, advocate of having a bunch of these types of things in your home unless you have, like, every year I do end up getting the year of whatever, like year of the dragon we're in right now. I love to have a dragon. So I usually only get like a symbol of the feng shui symbols based on the year that the zodiac animal is. I don't think that I'm not a big believer in a lot of these like symbols. I think that they're kind of just stuff that ends up having more power over us. So you have to resonate with it. And that's where I think feng shui has evolved over time. We saw a lot of these in the temples and in China and in Asia. Like that resonates with that culture. But if we didn't come from that culture, I think it's respectful to have our own sense of symbols and sigils that really resonate to our Western culture, if that's where we're from, or if you're from the Eastern culture and that resonates with you, then absolutely go for it. I think it's just respecting those traditions. So this is I think we are coming to the end here in our presentation. So I want to see if you guys have any questions about sigils and symbols. Go ahead and put that in the comments section. How y'all doing? We still have some of you with us tonight. Yay, we're wrapping it up here. We're going to do some questions. And I have some very exciting news. So some of you guys know that I'm opening enrollment to Spellbound Spaces. That's going to be what I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But my biggest thing is, because you guys are here with me, I'm going to be picking one person as a winner of the one-on-one Feng Shui consultation. I am so excited about that because everybody who entered into this masterclass had the opportunity to win the one-on-one consultation with me. So we have randomly picked we've randomly picked one of you, selected one of you to win. So I'm going to give that away in just a moment here. So if you're with me, stay with me. I have a couple announcements before I announce the winner. And let's see here. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into this now. So I have open enrollment doors to my second round of Spellbound Spaces. I'm so excited. This is my now signature course. I did my first one the end of last year going into January. It was at that time a 9-week training. We added a week because we added a couple of new modules. So some of you guys are already enrolled because you were part of the Abundance Challenge. But some of you may be like, I don't know what this is. I have no idea. This masterclass was essentially a little bit of a taste of what Spellbound Spaces is. If you really enjoyed this and you want to go deeper, you want some one-on-one assistance, you want to join a coven of other sisters and witches and wise women healers that are going to really help create a magical space, this is an incredible opportunity for you to do so. So here it is, Spellbound Spaces. I'm going to just actually go to the whole page of everything that you guys are going to get within Spellbound Spaces. It's a lot easier to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link here in the comments for those that would like to check it out. I have a special discount code for you guys. So I'll give that to you in just a moment here. But let's go over what is inside. So this is Spellbound Spaces. It is a 9-week journey from mundane to magical living. And can you guys see my screen? Because I think I might have, let me just make sure I'm sharing my whole screen. Okay, cool. Sometimes I have separate desktops shared. All right. So I want to get into the fun part of this whole 9-week training. So essentially what I've found is we as mystics tend to neglect our spaces because we're so focused out. We're so focused on healing. We're focused on our businesses. We're focused on kids. We're focused on others, right? Which is absolutely important to be in service. But that essentially starts to create some issues in space, like a lack of harmony, a cluttered mind, a cluttered space, manifestations that aren't coming into fruition because they're not actualized into the environment, or feeling anxious or unsettled in your space. So those are some things that I commonly see within my students, my clients, and this is why I developed this course / training. It's like a training course all in one. Spellbound Spaces is a 9-week module. So there's all these amazing modules that we're going to get into. I like to call it Hogwarts for your home. Module 1 is where we transform not only your space from a mundane space, but we're going into the more magical, deeper foundations of Feng Shui. Module 2 is diving a lot deeper into the Bagel map. So you'll actually have a whole week and a half, 2 weeks to really work on your Bagel map application. So if you want assistance with drawing out your floor plan, putting the Bagel map overlay, this is module 2. In module 3, we go over harnessing the elements, like the magical component. So you get to learn how to douse in your space to measure energy. this is where I talked about the connecting with the spirit of your home meditation is. We go into that on module 3. We also talk more on sigils. You get to create your own sigil for your space and your home. And then module 4 is practical magic for every room. So this is where you're really applying different rituals into your space. Module 5 is elemental mastery. So this is where you get to really work with the 5 elements and how to harmonize them within your home. And module 6 is the new module that we've added, one of the new modules. So this is decluttering your language. Words are spells. We're going to go through a list of words that you can shift into, like I have to go to work to I get to go to work, or a lot of different audits that you're going to be going through to shift your languaging, because your language, your words literally are the spells that you're casting to create your whole environment. So that's module 6. Module 7, we're doing some shadow work within the home. What that means is we're going to be looking at some of the areas that are stagnant in your space and what that is representing in your life as well. And module 8 is also a new module. If you are a budding spiritpreneur, or you have a business that is mostly rooted in a little woo-woo, this is where the module gets deep into understanding the Bagua map for your business. So setting your space up for success, having feng shui work with your business, not against your business. This is a big one. This was like, I couldn't not add this year. It was so, I think, so needed and so vital, because so many of you tend to honestly either be an entrepreneur, or you have a business, or maybe you're not and you're looking to do something. This is kind of that module that will help get you started. And lastly, we have craft your own spellbound space. So the entire 9 weeks, you're actually going to be, when we first meet, you're going to figure out what area you want to work on throughout the 9 weeks. So this is it's not just a like sit back and watch the modules type course. It's actually, that's where the training aspect comes in. It's actually where you get to present your spellbound space at the very end to your fellow House Witch Coven. So you're going to be actively, over the course of the 9 weeks, working on something very specific in your home, because I like transformation. I like to see your home go from 1A to Z. Like, I want to see transformation. So there's some bonus modules, and we also have some amazing instructors. So some of you guys might know some of these people. Amazing, amazing, amazing souls. I'll get into that in just a moment. Mia Magic is one of my dear friends. She's going to be teaching a whole lesson on awakening your inner witch. We're kind of working through her title and what she's going to be going through, because you guys, doors haven't officially opened for this yet. I'm opening enrollment for just a select few when we did the abundance challenge, for those of you that were there, and also for this masterclass. And then we also have George Lizos, which is an incredible spiritual teacher. we've been in the field together he's just so freaking cool. He's also a Hellenic priest, which his background is in, he's a Greek philosopher, really. He's like the modern day Greek philosopher. And he has written several books. Oh, hello, Dumble. We have Dumbledore visiting. He wants to have all the attention. He's written several books. His newest book is Secrets of Greek Mysticism. And he's going to be doing a whole class on Hellenic Bagua map. So he has this whole system that he's created on how the Greeks used feng shui. So he's going to be teaching you how to use like Greek goddesses and gods to really help manifest your desires and really bring in some more of that Greek mysticism. He's really freaking cool. And these are going to be the 2 live classes. So we have Mia Magic and George Lizos. They have live classes. And then last year we had Arana Leah, who is the founder of the Moon Deck, an amazing oracle deck, dear friend of mine, and Erin Gallagher. She has a class on how to tap into the Akashic records, which includes the actual prayer of opening up the records. So that's also included, but it's not going to be live because they were there they were in the course last year. So important dates for this course, you guys. October 22nd is when the actual course starts. And our first date of meeting is on the 24th of Thursday, on Thursday, the 24th of October. And our meeting times are going to be 6 p.m. Pacific time. Now, I know that's not going to work for everyone. So depending on everybody's location, we may add another time. So we're going to see based on enrollments where everybody's at in the world. If there's some that are in UK or across the world, we're going to add another time for those that can't make this time. But essentially, these are for sure happening the Thursdays at 6 p.m. every other week. Okay, so we meet bi-weekly for the duration of the 9 months. And then we have the closing ceremony on Saturday, December 14th. Still have something in my eye, you guys. And that's when you guys get to do your presentation. So this is the day that is my favorite day because we get to see everybody's hard work that they've been doing the entire 9 months. And sometimes depending on how many people, this is very a capped course. So we only have space for 40 people. We already have 10 people signed up. So we have about 30 more spaces, and I might cap it before that depending on where everybody's around that location. Because sometimes if we get, last time we had people from all over the world, and that Saturday was a very long class. But let's get into the investment here. And if you guys have questions, put it in the chat. I'm happy to answer. I'll stay with you guys and answer your questions about this. But the investment is, we have 3 different options. You can pay in full for $498. That includes everything that I just talked about. It also includes my Hearth Home spell book, which is a PDF spell book that you'll get. And then we have the 3 payment options of $188, and that's 3 monthly installments. And then if you want to upgrade to VIP and get 2 coaching calls or consultations with me and get a full flying stars report for your home, that is $898, and that also includes all the 9-week training. So you guys have all of that information. I just sent you the link. You can go through and have fun with it, read some testimonials from previous students. There's a lot of FAQs there and some more about me. And so there you have it. I'd love to welcome you to join me in Spellbound Spaces. I'm going to stop my sharing my screen now, and we're going to have some Q&A time. I see some messages that can't come up. Yes. Hi. Oh, thank you, Christy. Oh, he's right here. Come here, bud. He's like, let me get him so he can say hi to you guys. Oh, he's a big boy. Okay. Look how big this cat is, you guys. He's so big. Say hello to everyone. I'm not very happy. Hi. He doesn't like being held. I have another cat somewhere. She's a lot littler than he is. Okay, so if you have any questions at all, now is the time. And if you guys want to, turn on your camera, say hello and ask a question, or have anything to share about what you learned today, or your intention, or any breakthroughs. Hi, Sandy. Yay. Let's see if any questions came through while we were going live. All right. Christy, hi. Did you want to come on and say anything at all? Let me remove my spotlight. There we go.
Thank you so much. This was fabulous.
Oh, you're welcome. I love your backdrop, by the way.
Thank you. Fort Lauderdale.
That's so good. It's beautiful. Did you take that photo?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Is that where you're from, Florida?
Yeah, I think actually that was Stuart, but yeah, we're here in Florida. So just wanted to send the calming water waves.
I love that.
This is really, really great. Thank you for this.
Oh, you're so welcome, Christy. Thanks for being here. Does anyone else want to chime in, say hello, ask any questions? I know we went over a lot, but maybe there'll be like some questions that come up later. If you guys are in the Facebook group, you should have been able to. I'm grabbing some links for you guys here. When you signed up for this masterclass, you were also invited to join the private Facebook group, High Vibe Home. So I'm going to put the link here if you haven't done that yet. Honestly, the Facebook group is an amazing, amazing space to ask questions, because I guarantee if you have a question about something, someone else has one too. So it's really nice to be able to actually post your questions in there. And let me just make sure I'm in. There we go. I might have direct message Sandy only for the Spellbound Spaces. I just noticed that. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
Sandy.
we did before. One question I had that somebody else seemed to have, they have a house in the shape of a T, and I kind of have a T or an L. In that case, do you lay the map over like the yard and everything and kind of take over that space? How does that work?
So yes, that may also mean that you have a missing gua. So depending on how the Bago map overlays your L-shaped home, then if there's like a missing gua, then you'd have to, which is a whole nother discussion on how to kind of close that off. But it's really easy to just close it off with like crystals, close it off with landscaping, but you would energetically want to close off that space so it's not essentially missing. What's really fascinating about that is when I've worked with clients and they come to me for whatever reason, whether it's like love or money, whatever they come to me for, actually we find that there's a missing gua. So if it's love and relationships and there's something kind of not flowing as well with your relationships, then potentially that could mean, you know, the gua is affecting the relationship not being complete or harmonized or whole, or so there's something going on there. So we want to make sure that we close that off energetically. Does that help?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So it's a rabbit hole, this whole
I bet it could be, yeah.
yeah. So, but really good question. I get that one a lot.
Hi, Nixie. My name is Danielle. I don't.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. Thanks for all the great information. I have a question. If you have a home that has multiple floors, do you have to remedy each floor?
That is a great question. So yes, technically you want to remedy each floor. Some floors, though, might not be suitable for, let's say you want to enhance your southeast money area, but you have a bathroom in that southeast on one of the floors. You wouldn't want to enhance it, you would want to remedy it. So there is a difference between enhancing and remedying the space. So you do want to pick your like ideal enhancement wisely if you have two floors. I like to look at it as more of like an extension. So if you have two floors, you have two guas, right? You have two money corners, you have two love and relationship corners. So pick which one, if you want to enhance them, is going to be best suitable for the layout of your space, because obviously not every home is going to have, like, it would be ideal to have a bedroom in the southwest, but if you're not, that's not how your home is, then pick a different, whichever floor is going to best suit the remedy or the cure.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I've done a really good job on my first floor, but
okay, good.
I
Gotta
have to
start
just keep
somewhere, right?
I know. I have to keep working my way up. Thank you.
Totally get it. You're so welcome. Great question. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks again.
All right, guys, I'm just posting a couple links in here. So we have Spellbound Spaces is I thought I posted it in the group link, but I was like direct messaging somebody. So Sandy, sorry about that. And then I'm gonna offer you guys the 25% off code, and that's active until Monday. So I'm gonna give you this code. It is Magical 11. And that'll give you 25% off until Monday for Spellbound Spaces if you want to join and continue this magical journey together. So I'm going to go through some of the comments, see if we have still, I know some of you guys probably are ready to get off. We've been together for quite some time. Thank you for being here with me on this fine evening, the eve of the September Friday the 13th energy. See if I have any other questions here. Not a lot of questions tonight. So good, guys. Maybe I was just really clear. I don't know. But the questions you guys have asked are really good ones. All right, if no more questions, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for taking some time to really honor yourself and your space and create a little magic together. I will be sending you guys an email follow-up with the replay as well as the slides and that amazing 4 directions ritual that you guys can do. So have a beautiful night. I'll be in touch with you in my emails. Thank you again for being here, and make sure to jump in the Facebook group, stay connected. And you guys know I do, if you have been with me for a while, I do a masterclass at least around every month. So I hope to see you guys in the next one. But sending you all my love. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. I'll see you all very soon, and hopefully also inside of Spellbound Spaces. All right, everyone. Bye. Good night.